The last human transport vessel disappeared beyond the galactic rim at 14:37 Standard Galactic Time, its quantum signature fading into the cosmic background like a dying star's final breath. High Chancellor Zix Thara watched from the observation deck of the Council Station, her crystalline form refracting the distant starlight into fractured rainbows across the chamber floor. Trajectory analysis complete, reported navigation specialist Krell Dar, his tentacles dancing across holographic interfaces with practiced efficiency. The human Exodus fleet has entered intergalactic void, their destination unknown. The silence that followed carried the weight of 3 centuries of accumulated mistakes. It had begun with the purity doctrine of 2387, a seemingly reasonable set of guidelines designed to preserve the natural order of galactic civilization. Humans, with their chaotic expansion patterns and unpredictable social evolution, were classified as a containment priority species. Nothing malicious, the Council had assured itself, simply regulated. Phase 1 had been economic restrictions. Human colonies were limited in their trade partnerships, their access to advanced technologies curtailed, their expansion into certain star systems prohibited. The measure passed by overwhelming majority 46 species voting in favor, with only the enigmatic observers abstaining. Dr. Elena Vasquez, humanity's first ambassador to the Galactic Council, had stood in that very chamber where Zix Thara now brooded, delivering what historians would later call the warning speech. Honored delegates, she had said, her words preserved in the Council archives, humanity has survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and the collapse of entire civilizations. We are, above all else, adaptable. But we are also proud. Push us too far, and you may find that we adapt in ways you never anticipated. The Council had dismissed her words as typical human dramatics. Phase 2 came 20 years later. Cultural isolation protocols. Human entertainment, literature, and art were deemed potentially disruptive influences on stable galactic society. The ban was comprehensive: no more human jazz flowing through Centauri nightclubs, no more Earth literature in Andromedan universities, no more human comedy shows that had somehow become inexplicably popular among the usually stoic crystalline hierarchs. Ambassador Chen Wei, Dr. Vasquez's successor, had been more direct in his assessment. "You're making a mistake that will echo across centuries," he had told the Assembly. Isolation breeds resentment. Resentment breeds innovation. And human innovation, when properly motivated, tends to reshape entire paradigms. The Council voted to implement Phase 2 anyway. By Phase 3, the pretense of protection had worn thin. Humans were reclassified as a managed species, subject to population controls, mandatory psychological evaluations, and restrictions on their scientific research. Their colonies were monitored by Council peacekeepers, their communications intercepted, their brightest minds redirected toward approved fields of study. That was when humanity stopped talking and started working. The signs had been there for anyone willing to see them. Human colonies had begun implementing unusual energy conservation measures. Their industrial output had shifted toward exotic materials with no apparent commercial value. Their scientific publications had decreased dramatically, not because they were doing less research, but because they had stopped sharing their discoveries. Dr. Sarah Kim, the last human ambassador to address the Council, had been different from her predecessors. Quiet. Observational. When she spoke, it was with the calm certainty of someone who had already made their decision. "We thank the Council for the lessons in galactic citizenship," she had said, her words devoid of the passion that had characterized previous human diplomatic efforts. "We have learned much about cooperation, about our place in the larger community of species. We will not forget these teachings." 3 days later, every human colony in Council space had gone dark. Not destroyed, simply empty. abandoned with an efficiency that spoke of months, perhaps years of careful planning. The infrastructure remained intact, the facilities spotless, the departure so complete it seemed almost surgical. They had left behind only a simple message, repeated across every human world in every galactic language. "Thank you for helping us understand what we needed to do." "Sir," Kreldar's voice interrupted Zixthara's reverie. "We're receiving the final analysis from the Science Directorate." The report materialized as a holographic display, its contents more disturbing than any military intelligence. The humans hadn't simply left, they had transcended. In their final decades, under Council oversight, they had developed technologies that made their departure not just possible, but inevitable. Quantum tunneling drives that bypassed hyperspace entirely. Self-sustaining ecosystem pods that could support millions in intergalactic void. Automated manufacturing systems that could bootstrap entire civilizations from raw stellar matter. Most importantly, they had solved the fundamental problem that kept all other species bound to the galaxy: resource scarcity. "They don't need us anymore," Zixthara whispered, the words barely audible even to her own auditory sensors. The implications were staggering. For 3 billion years, the Galactic Council had maintained stability through interdependence. Every species needed something that another could provide: trade routes, resources, technology, protection. It was the foundation of galactic civilization. But the humans had broken free from that web entirely. "Communications are still attempting to establish contact," Kreldar reported, "but their vessels are now beyond our relay network range. Even if they wanted to respond, the signal delay would be measured in decades." Ambassador Vexstar of the military command entered the observation chamber, his usually imposing presence somehow diminished. "The exodus wasn't just the Sol colonies," he reported grimly. "We've confirmed similar departures from 47 other systems. Hidden human populations we never knew existed. They've been planning this for over a century." The revelation struck like a physical blow. The Council had believed they were managing humanity's growth, controlling their expansion, maintaining careful oversight of their activities. In reality, they had been observing only what humans had chosen to show them: a carefully maintained facade, while the real work happened in shadows. "How many?" Zixthara asked. "Conservative estimates suggest 12 billion humans have left Council space." "But sir," Vexstar hesitated, accessing classified files with reluctant keystrokes, "our intelligence networks have gone silent. Every informant, every monitoring station, every surveillance satellite the humans allowed us to maintain, they're all offline. We never understood the true scope of their population or their capabilities." Dr. Kreldar's tentacles stilled over his instruments. "Sir, there's something else. The humans left behind a delayed transmission. It's addressed to you personally." The hologram of Dr. Sarah Kim materialized in the chamber's center, her image flickering slightly from the quantum encryption protocols. She appeared older than during her last council appearance, her hair silver, her face marked by years of careful planning. "High Chancellor Zixthara," the recording began, "by the time you receive this message, the human exodus will be complete. I want you to know that this decision brings us no joy. For 3 centuries, we tried to find our place within galactic civilization. We offered our creativity, our resilience, our unique perspectives. In return, we were treated as a problem to be managed rather than partners to be valued." The recording paused, Kim's expression softening slightly. "We don't leave in anger, but in sadness. The galaxy taught us that survival means self-reliance, that safety means distance, that freedom means the courage to walk away from those who cannot see your worth. These are painful lessons, but necessary ones. The stars are vast, Chancellor. There is room for all of us to grow and prosper. Perhaps one day, when the galaxy is ready to meet us as equals rather than subjects.
The humans had spent 42 days mediating this dispute, ultimately crafting a compromise where the item would be classified as a sandwich wrap hybrid with seasonal variations. Both sides had accepted this solution, praised human wisdom, and then immediately began arguing over what constituted a season on different planets. They left because we're children, Ambassador ZYX said quietly, her crystalline structure now a deep shade of purple that indicated shame among her people. We're a galaxy of children who never learned to solve our own problems. The chamber fell silent again as this truth settled over them like cosmic dust. For 300 years, they had relied on human ingenuity, human patience, and human stubbornness to navigate their differences. The humans had become the galaxy's parents, and the galaxy had never learned to grow up. Outside the chamber, the human transport ship Compromise engaged its quantum drives and disappeared into fold space, carrying its crew back toward a small blue planet in a minor spiral arm. Dr. Chun sat in her quarters, writing her final report. Species of the galaxy display remarkable intelligence in all areas except conflict resolution. Recommend they be allowed to develop this capacity independently. Humanity's continued intervention appears to inhibit natural diplomatic evolution. We will monitor from distance but will not return to active mediation unless specifically requested and evidence of maturation is provided. As the ship carrying humanity's diplomatic mission disappeared into the vastness of space, 47 star systems suddenly found themselves alone at the table, forced for the first time in 3 centuries to learn the hardest lesson of galactic citizenship: how to talk to each other without someone else doing the talking for them. The galaxy watched in terror, but perhaps it was time to grow up.